Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and once again, I'm at Eagles 4273, and I thank them for their hospitality, allowing us to do our shows here. And I have the man, the High Sheriff, Peyton Grinnell, the United States Marine.
Semper Fi.
And I'm looking forward to having you on the show for a long time, but you're such a busy man, it's hard to get you on here, but I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Are you a native Floridian? I think so, right?
I am. I was born in Eustis, but I primarily grew up in Leesburg. That's where I graduated high school, Leesburg High.
Did you play sports, Leesburg?
No, I did not. Believe it or not, I was in the FFA.
FFA?
FFA, Future Farmers of America.
Oh.
And I did not become a farmer.
No. Well, anyway, so you went to Leesburg High School. After Leesburg High School, evidently you joined the Marines, or did you wait a few years?
Actually, was working for public supermarkets full-time, stocking shelves and living at home, and was making a lot of money as a young kid. And my dad told me I could either move out or join the military. So one paid for food and gave you room and board, and so that's when I went in the Marine Corps.
That's something that happens to a lot of people once you finish high school. Because I remember when I finished high school, my mother said, $50 a week, room and board, or get out. And then I found out that she charged my sister $40. But
Yeah.
it was, we didn't have much money anyway, so it really helped out. But I was at that age where Vietnam was going on, so yeah. I knew I wasn't going to stay in the house very long.
Yeah.
But so anyway, what year did you graduate?
1986.
86.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling old now, Peyton.
It goes back quick.
Yeah. So you were stocking shelves in Publix.
Yeah.
And what made you go in the Marine Corps?
I needed some discipline in my life, to be honest with you, and there's a long lineage of military service in my family. My dad served in Vietnam. He was a Huey pilot over there, shot down a couple times, and fortunate to have him. His dad and his uncle, Granddad Grinnell and my great uncle Charlie, were in World War II. Charlie was actually a captain in Patton's Third Army over there. And so I didn't want to leave that circle unbroken in military service, and joined the Marine Corps.
And what year was that?
Would have been December of 1986 is when I went to boot camp.
Yeah. And what'd you think of that?
It was an eye opener. I think my upbringing with my dad, he was fair, but he was strict, and he drove me pretty good as a young man, but I deserved that. I was doing things probably I didn't need to be doing, and so I was familiar with tough love, and that's what I called it. But so because of my dad, it wasn't a shocker to me to be yelled at, hollered at on occasion, and actually more often than not. But I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't joined the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Well, I say the same thing about the Air Force. I didn't know where I was going. I still don't know where I'm going. But the Air Force and the military, they bring you down and they build you up.
Sure.
And then you start realizing what's important.
That's right.
You joined the Marine Corps. You went to Camp Lejeune.
Actually, Paris Island for boot camp.
Paris Island.
And then after Paris Island, obviously went to infantry training school at Camp Lejeune, Camp Geiger. And that was pretty cool because you're actually a Marine at that point in time. So there was a little bit of respect that came along with that, even though I was a private first class. And then after infantry training school, I ended up in Norfolk, Virginia at the Naval Air Station up there. Was assigned to I call it my claim to fame, if you want to call it that, but I was the first platoon in the history of the Marine Corps that was called FAST Company. It stood for the Fleet Anti-Terrorism Strike Team. And it was a brand new program that was being implemented into the Marine Corps by the commandant at that time. And It was pretty cool. We spent 6 months up in Quantico, Virginia at the FBI Academy's training area and the sniper school, and just did a lot of shooting, had a lot of fun, and didn't know while we were doing that stuff and learning how to do the deliberate and dynamic entries into what they call Michelin City, which is a bunch of tires stacked up and with rooms that you cleared the rooms.
Michelin City.
Yeah, that's what they called it. But there was a Navy SEAL team there that was helping train us, and there was also a unit from the SAS. The British was there, as well as a Mossad unit from Israel, and they were training us in close quarter battle. And we didn't have a clue why they were doing this, and then we found out we were going to be deployed to Panama during Operation Just Cause. So that was the reason for all of that training.
Oh, wow.
But I'm glad I got to do it. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I tell my SWAT guys I was SWAT before SWAT was cool.
So you went to Panama,
Went to Panama.
and what's going on over there at the time?
Yeah, so we flew down there, and my unit ended up getting the duty to protect the fuel, the American fuel supply that was on Mount Aragon in Panama there. So we would go out and do long-range reconnaissance patrols, and obviously had a fire base set up on top of the Mount Aragon there. That was our job, but there was a lot of great men and women down there doing different things. In the meantime, as you know, SEAL unit actually got Manuel Noriega out of power and removed him. But that was a pretty cool operation, because when we weren't working, every now and then we get a little bit of liberty. There was an Air Force base there that was really, really nice, and you could buy a Corona for $0.25.
You know I was Air Force, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Okay. Well, I've heard other stories too. I know some Army guys who were stationed in hotels, and I didn't have a hotel,
Yeah.
but I didn't have it bad. No, I didn't.
I have yet to be on an Air Force base that wasn't luxurious. Good for you. You're smart.
Well, here's a story. When I got out of high school, Vietnam was the thing, right? And I turned 18, and you got your notice to take your physical, and then a month later, you're getting this, go take a physical. You're going to be drafted, and I had an uncle. So he was my uncle, my best friend, and godfather. And he was awarded Distinguished Cross for Heroism on the beaches of D-Day.
Awesome.
He took out a machine gun. He was with the Big Red One. Got wounded in the leg, was on his way to take out a pillbox. Flak hit him in the eye, lost his eye, and that was the end of his career. And I had several other uncles who were all in the Army. And he said, "What are you going to do now?" I said, "I don't know. I guess I'm going to let them draft me. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to just take any college credits. I don't have no desire to go to college." He says, "Well, you're going to join either the Navy or the Air Force." So I couldn't swim. I still can't swim. I went to see the Navy recruiter, and he said something to which amounted to, "And what do you want?" I have to omit a word there. And I said, "Nothing, sir." Turned around, walked back up the stairs, saw the Air Force guy. "I'll give you a delayed enlistment. We want you. You got mechanical ability." Okay. That's how I wound up in the Air Force.
There you go.
And it was a great thing, because I was working piecework in a sweatshop, making nothing. And I just said, "There got to be something. It got to be a better way." But
Yeah.
we try to take care of you guys.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the Air Force bases I've been on. Very much so. Yeah.
So you were in Panama.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
We were there about 5 months, give or take. And when that was over, really good duty was our job. They would fly us into the different dry docks on the coast where the Trident submarines would come in to refuel and defuel. So we would be in either Kittery, Maine, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, or Charleston, South Carolina, Kings Bay, Georgia. That was pretty good duty. You just
Guard
fly
duty.
in and guard the And but I tell you what, when you stood on top of that, the one in Maine was the USS Kamehameha. I remember standing on top of that thing, looking down and take your breath away, man. To realize you're standing on something that can take out a continent. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty impressive. But that was good duty. And then about halfway through my enlistment, they sent me to the Fleet Marine Force, back to Camp Lejeune. Didn't really care much for that, but did a med float and spent 6 months out bouncing around. Got back from the med float and had 26 days left of my enlistment. And the company commander had a formation. He said, "Raise your hand if you do to get out of the Marine Corps." I said, "My hand up." Big old smile on my face. He says, "I got good news and I got bad news." I said, "The good news is you're not getting out of the Marine Corps.
That's the good news?
The bad news is you're not getting out of the Marine Corps. It's up to you if it's good news or bad news. We're going to war, man." And I looked at my buddy. I said, "What did he just say?" He said, "You ain't getting out." And it was the hardest phone call I ever made to my wife. She's my high school sweetheart. She was going to school full time at George Washington University.
Were you married then?
DC, yeah. And had a little one bedroom apartment up there, and had to call her. Actually had a job lined up, Uniform Division of Secret Service. And called her and told her what I had just been told, and she took it rough, but her mom moved up and stayed with her while I was over in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So I did an extra 6 months on my enlistment for the Persian Gulf War. And but it all worked out. Everything worked out. And what was crazy is when I got back, that job that I had lined up with Uniform Division of Secret Service was no longer offered. So I didn't have anything, you know. And I borrowed a suit from my uncle, and I walked into a TGI Fridays at the corner of King Street and Beauregard in Alexandria, Virginia. Never will forget this. About 10:30 in the morning, I walked in, and a Kurdish guy came up to me. His name was Saeed Barzani. He was the store manager, and he said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I'm here to apply for a job." He said, "You're hired. Sit down. I'll be right back." And he told me he'd never had anybody walk in a suit before and ask for a job. Suit didn't even fit me. It was my uncle's. So I waited tables at TGI Fridays during the day and popped popcorn at night, the AMC movie theater when my wife was going to college. And we were paying like $650 a month for a one-bedroom apartment that was like a 12 by 15 back then. That was in 91.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money in 91. And I couldn't get hired in law enforcement. I didn't have a college degree at the time. And everybody that was getting out after the stop loss was lifted for the military, a lot of those guys and girls had college degrees, so all of the law enforcement agencies up there were snatching them up left and right. But God had a purpose for me, man, you know, and so I worked my way up to bartender. That was a good job, not for a married man, but it was a good job. And was able to let the popcorn job go and went to school full time during the day at Northern Virginia Community College, and got my criminal justice degree, and was transferring to George Mason about the time my wife graduated. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we didn't even have to say it. We knew we missed our roots. So we moved back here in 93. And I went to the Law Enforcement Academy. It was the Vogue Technical College then, now it's Lake Technical College. And went there in 1993 in the winter, and was hired at the Sheriff's Office after I completed that training, and just hit 30 years the first of this month with the agency.
30 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember when I was talking about the old guys, now they're talking about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I talked to somebody the other day, April 2nd or 3rd it was, I forget. 53 years ago is when I came home from overseas. 53 years ago.
Seems like yesterday, though, doesn't it, looking back?
I put it on my Facebook page. It was 53 years. And it's hard to believe. And I'm only 39, and my daughter writes in, "Dad, I'm 48. How could you be 39?" Yeah. But yeah, time flies. Time flies. So you got hired with the Sheriff's Department. You've been there 30 years.
Yes, sir.
And you worked your way up to, how'd that go?
Yeah, I did. Started out as a patrol deputy, and after a couple years, I was offered a position as a training officer, so I would train the new deputies that came on, and did that for a couple years, and then transferred into the Detective Bureau. Was a detective for about 3 years. Public Information, Community Services, became the Director of Training, and was very blessed. I got promoted up through the ranks and had a lot of help along the way, a lot of good mentors, and it's just been a blessing. And it just seems like family from day one there. Just a bunch of good guys and girls that do a fantastic job.
I agree with that. I've met quite a few of them. One of them is one guy I really like. He was also a Marine, Walter.
Walter Wolf.
Yeah, and he told us a story about how he was in Vietnam, and for his 18th birthday, they let him off point.
Yep.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, he's got 55 years in law enforcement now.
Yeah, he's an amazing man.
Yeah.
He does so many good projects. And, I know that Sheriff's Department, you hear, well, they arrest the bad guys. That's what they do, right? But you have a lot of other things that you do. And Walter's one of those guys who goes around and talks about those things, right?
Yeah, he's our community liaison, one of those guys that works in the community engagement unit, and probably one of the busiest deputy sheriffs I have. He's out at nights, he's out on the weekends, and talking to residents of our community, and just trying to keep them from becoming a victim of identity theft or fraud, which is very prevalent. And but he loves what he does. He really does, and he does it well.
Yeah, I got the hack too.
Yeah.
They got, my wife was on the phone and she gave out too much information, but the phone message said it was from the bank.
Right.
But it wasn't the bank.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that going on. You
There
guys
is.
got to be very busy.
It's probably the most prevalent crime right now is identity theft, frauds, and scams, because they know it's hard to be caught doing that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
A lot of that stuff doesn't even originate in the United States. It's from overseas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how many do we have? You're the sheriff for Lake County. How many sheriffs and employees do you take care of?
So I've got 900 professional men and women that make me look good.
Wow.
Yeah, because we also run the county jail, which is a 960-bed facility in downtown Tavares, and I've got about 260 employees in there that do a great job. So it's a large, complex operation, but it's a well-oiled machine. I've got a great staff. But more important than that, our citizens. Our citizens support us 110%. And we can't do this job without our citizens' support. So we're very blessed to have that, and we don't take it for granted.
You have any idea how many men and women that you are in the sheriff's department or have served in the military?
Well, I can tell you this: it's my focus to hire veterans, and I've got a Silver Star recipient there. I've got a couple Purple Heart recipients from the Afghan-Iraq War, and they just make better deputy sheriffs. I'm nothing against those guys and girls out there that aren't veterans of our military, but I will tell you, it's they've got the heart to serve, and if you're in this job for any other reason than to serve people, you're not going to be successful in it. That's what we do. And I tell these young guys and girls that come in and apply, it's fun. We get to wear a badge and a gun and drive fast with blue lights on and put people in jail, but the job's a lot bigger than that. It's about serving people, and that's what we do.
Yeah. I think we have a great department here with the sheriff's department, and we supported you over here at the Eagles.
Yes, sir.
And we're proud of what you guys do. But those other guys, you can always tell them to come on over and see Bob down here in Central Florida Salute.
Yeah, no,
share your stories.
We'll do that. There's a lot of good stories there. There really is, and I've been fortunate to be able to sit down with some of those veterans that came back and are working for me now and hear their stories, and it's good stuff.
I just had I had the opportunity to go, but I couldn't go, down to Port St. Lucie. They put a new Iraq monument there, and it's absolutely beautiful. They just did it the other day. And we have two people here that are Gold Star parents, and their son's name is on there, Michael Bach.
Yeah, I know Staff Sergeant Bach's whole story. I had the honor.
You know what? They did tell me how much they love you for what you did.
Well, listen, I had the honor of going to the airport and receiving his wife and child after he was killed, and I'll never forget that. And Xander was a small infant at that time, And so I saw his mom here at your club not too long ago, and she gave me a big hug, and she remembered that. And we threw the kitchen sink at that service, and it was the least we could do. But yeah, so I do know Mrs. Bach.
Yeah, Dave and Sandy Bach.
Yeah.
And they're on our Veterans Committee here
Yeah.
too. So, yeah. But, yeah, you've also done, did you do Frank Hall?
No. Oh, the
Franklin
yes,
Hall?
sir. Yeah,
Guys,
our motors unit was involved in that procession to Lone Oak Cemetery, and,
Yep.
and that flyover of the jets was incredible. Took my breath away, and yeah, that's a pretty cool story, huh?
Yeah, after 80 years, he finally, his body came home and, you know, yeah, I thought so. I thought
Yeah.
we did a show on it. It's on our YouTube. And, but it's nice to know that, you know, I wrote a poem. I'm going to give you a copy of that poem. I got it over there. It's about, your final resting spot, you know. But anyway, enough about me. So you're running again.
Yes, sir.
I know, off the record, I know you're going to win.
Well,
I don't do politics. But you have such a great reputation, and your department is doing a great job.
well, I've got a great staff, and you know, for me, it's personal. I was born and raised in this county. This county was good to me and my family growing up, and however I can give back, however small that is, I enjoy doing that. And but I will tell you, it's the third fastest growing county in the state of Florida right now. This county is. We're
Oh,
about 435,000 in population now, 1,156 square miles. You can't drive in a straight line because there's 1,400 lakes. It takes a little bit to get around all this traffic that we have.
yeah, you have boats too in the lakes.
Yeah, yeah, we do. We have a pretty good sized marine unit, and but I will tell you, you know, this county's growing, and I'm focused on that. I want to make sure we keep up with it, because if you get behind, it's almost impossible to catch up, and I don't want to get behind.
Yes. Well, personally, I think we need to start doing something about the roads around here.
Yeah, it's our number one complaint at the sheriff's office is traffic. It's our number one complaint.
Yeah. It took, you know, it takes me a long time to get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I know they just keep building and building and building, but somebody's got to start looking at the water and the roads.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, and I really should shut up because that's not what I do here.
I hear that. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Not that you should shut up, but
Yeah. Stick around. You'll hear it. But anyway, so you recommend the Marine Corps to anybody?
well, I'll tell
Or
you,
any branch of the service, right?
my son's in the Army. He's stationed out at the Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State, just outside of Seattle. He's assigned to the 1st Special Forces Group out there, and he absolutely loves his job, and I couldn't be more proud of him. So
Oh, God bless him.
I don't care what branch of the military you join. It's that willingness to serve, to write your name on a check that you hope doesn't get cashed. But that says a lot. And if we ever lose that, you know, we're going to be in pretty bad shape.
Unfortunately, there's only less than 1% that serve in the military, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we'd be much better off if everybody did a little bit of something.
It's been
If you didn't-
successful in a couple areas that I'm aware of.
Huh?
It's been successful in a few areas that I'm aware of. I think Israel would be one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's mandatory. You have to do a little time in the military over there.
Yeah. A lot of countries, I think it
Yeah.
is. I really don't know them all, but I'm in favor of, you know, if you can't do 2 years in the military, do some Peace Corps. You know,
Sure.
to do something other than complain.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
that's what my mom always told me. I don't want to hear you complaining. Don't complain. You go out and make a difference.
That's
do
right.
something.
That's right.
So, but one of these days I want to go up and see your jail. But you got to promise me you'll let me back out.
Okay.
Okay.
One time.
One time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, So how many years did you do in the Marine Corps?
Did 4 years and just shy of 6 months.
Oh yeah. You didn't want to re-enlist, or?
They wouldn't allow me to transition over to the military police at the time. There wasn't an open billet for that. I would have stayed in if I could have gotten out of the infantry component of the Marine Corps and went into the military police. But
Yeah, because you have passion for the military.
yeah,
Law
you know,
enforcement.
I wanted to go into law enforcement, and you know, so. But like I said earlier, everything worked out for a reason. I didn't know what God's plan was, and God did. So He shut the doors that needed to be shut and opened the ones that needed to be opened.
So you have one son serving in the Army.
Correct.
You have any other children?
I have a daughter. She's 28. She does marketing here for the villages locally, and she loves her job there. And she's expecting her first child, so I'll be a granddad in August. I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First one, huh?
First one. Yeah. That's right, brother.
Good for you.
Yeah, man.
You know, I've got a few. You know, Christmas.
I hear how good it is, so I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, you got any parting words for everybody?
Oh, I do. I just want to first and foremost say thank you for supporting the men and women out there that put on a bulletproof vest and go to work, and to make sure that the quality of life in this county remains great. So I just want to say thank you to the citizens for supporting them, and it means a lot to them. It really does. So thank you for that.
Well, we have, like I said, I have a great group here.
You do.
And last year, September 11th, we supported the Sheriff's Department and the Leesburg Police Department. And this year we decided we're going to do something for the firemen and first responders.
Yeah.
You know, because public service people that's what makes a difference.
I can give you a tip.
Give me a tip?
Yeah. You're going to do something for the fire service?
Yeah.
Well, buy them an Xbox or a PlayStation video game. That's what they do all day long. Is
Ooh.
you know, I'm just kidding, guys and girls.
Hey.
Just kidding. I had to put it out there.
All right, no comment from me. I'm not making any more enemies than I already did. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you for having me.
You know, and thank you for what you do, and tell Mr. Walter Wolf I said hello.
I do.
I really love Walter. He did a show with me, and he told me about it when he was 18. My birthday present was Walk Point in Vietnam, and I went, he's something.
Yes, sir.
But,
Yes, sir.
And all the great programs, by the way, if you want to learn about those great programs, because I know you have them to help people who have medical conditions and this
Sure.
and that.
Sure.
And where would they go? How would
Yeah,
they find
so-
out about them?
All of these programs that you're talking about are listed on our website at www.lcso.org, LakeCountySheriff'sOffice.org. It's a real easy site to navigate, and there's a lot of great information on there that's outside of traditional law enforcement as well.
Yeah, and you know, like I say, I met Walter, and I know about some of the programs, the neighborhood watch programs, and if people have a medical condition, hide away keys and boxes, and so check out that website. But we're going to say goodbye now.
All right. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Let's do it.
All right. To all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. Thanks,
Also,
buddy.
thank you.